Prince Bojji, born to giant parents, yet the smallest person ever in the kingdom of Basa, was weak, deaf, and naive, but carried himself with unmatched courage, spending his days running through fields and playing with his father's animals, since his disabilities kept him from other children, who often misunderstood or mocked him. One day, after Bojji slips out of the castle to wander around the kingdom of Kage, a shadowy criminal spots the defenseless prince and rushes over to reprimand him, only to stop when he realizes Bojji can hear him, leaving both stunned when they discover they can actually talk. Bojji hands over his clothes to Kage and heads back to the palace in just his underwear, facing ridicule from villagers who scorn him for failing to act like a proper prince. Yet, as time passes, Kage is taken aback when Bojji keeps returning happily with more clothes, and even more so when Bojji reveals he's the crown prince, prompting Kage to trail him through the village to learn about his life. Kage pities Bojji after seeing the villagers mock him for returning to the palace naked, and he also notices how the king's second wife abuses Bojji to push her own son next in line for the throne ahead as the heir. Bojji, sobbing alone in his room, proving the boy only pretends the cruelty doesn't hurt him. When Bojji rushes to see his father, Kage starts to follow but is stopped by a guard, and once Bojji reaches the king, a flashback reveals the king, though now sick and ready to pass power to his heir, remains troubled by Bojji's frail condition. For though Bojji is his cherished son and the one he wishes to name heir in memory of his late first wife, he knows the boy lacks the strength. Meanwhile, Kage is questioned by a guard who has while the Shadow Clan holds Kage for questioning, only for him to escape. Bojji trains under his master Domus until Dida interrupts, challenging Domus to a duel that stuns him with skill. Inspired, Bojji then shocks the entire kingdom by daring to challenge Dida himself, a legendary swordsman no one expected him to face. When the duel starts, Bojji stuns everyone by dodging with incredible agility. But even when he finally strikes, instead of just evading, he barely grazes Dida's hair before the story pauses to flash back to Kage's past as part of a shadow clan forced to do the kingdom's most disgraceful deeds. One day, the persecution and torture started, but Kage's mother gave herself up so he could flee to another kingdom. Just as he was newly captured, a few royal family friends rescued him. Yet, upon reaching the new land, he struggled with no money and no free meals, forcing him to trade his most prized possession. The store owner calls him a thief and beats him up, but then a scammer offers him scraps of food, only to enslave him and exploit his skills. This crook soon discovers Kage's talents, forces him to steal, and grows rich off the boy's shadowy abilities, while Kage, desperate for affection, vainly tries. The scoundrel, after losing heavily to gambling and vice, sells the Kage to the police, but escapes only to watch his brief mentor die, leaving him colder and more detached by the time he returns to the present. Bojji fights desperately and questions why he cares so much about the child he protects. He dodges Dida's attacks and humiliates his brother, but Domus scolds him for not fighting like a true prince. So Bojji stops evading, only for Dida to overpower him while onlookers do nothing, until Kage steps in. But a guard named Apeus angrily blocks him, leaving Domus to helplessly end the fight, after which Dida retires that evening as Bojji sobs uncontrollably and tests whether a massive sword can hold his weight, only for Kage to stop him with unconventional style, and vowing to stay by his side from then on. Days later, Bojji's father dies, devastating the royal family, though his telegram arrives afterward. When Bojji is named heir to the throne, enraging Dida, a spirit emerges from the king's body, laughs wildly at Bojji, and stuns the crowd. Yet at the royal presentation, the palace spokesman declares Dida as King Basa's chosen successor after a hidden plot by the queen and nobles to override the king's will. One stay, Miles, one DD, I hard after a hidden plot, one Dia, one, his former master and ally, admits he came to aid Bojji. But Babin later lies to Bojji, claiming Kage abandoned. Dida's corrupt son Bojji searches every place for Kage until he finds a cave where a giant snake tells him that Bevan captured Kage but that Kage is unharmed. Then, out of gratitude to Bojji, the snake reveals Kage's location. Meanwhile, Bevan orders Appius to obey King Dida's command. But Appius overpowers Bevan and departs, while Dida confides to his mother that he wants to exile Bojji for being a bother. Though when Bojji tells Queen Hailing his plan, she refuses out of fear for his safety. But as he attempts to escape through the window, he falls and is badly hurt. So Hailing rushes to him in panic and heals him with magic, revealing to Bojji that she was the one who had secretly healed him before. Recalling her early marriage to the king, she remembers how she had tried to bond with the shy, grieving boy who had been deeply wounded by his mother's loss until she finally earned his trust. After sparing Bojji at his birth, the queen let him leave the kingdom to seek adventure, but only if Domus and Hokuro watched over him. Before departing, Bojji tearfully said goodbye to Hailing. While Dida received another dark command from the magic mirror, she had to eliminate Prince Bojji as his existence endangered the kingdom. Yet, as she schemed against him, Bojji wandered harmlessly through life, bothering no one, until in one town, Domus left him with Hokuro to buy supplies. But the prince slipped away to watch a puppet show, scolded him. Bojji later spotted the bag abandoned on the road. The following day, after realizing nothing had been stolen, an assassination attempt on Bojji during dinner puts his bodyguards on high alert, and upon arriving in a shady, unfamiliar town the next day, Domus sends Horuko to secure an inn while taking Bojji to the local landmark, a volcano known as the Gate. Domus tells the little prince that if he steps closer, he'll see the volcano's bottom, so Bojji eagerly approaches, only for Domus to shove him into the abyss, overwhelmed by guilt. Domus lets out a bitter laugh and collapses to the ground, sobbing, while Bojji wakes up to find a kunai tied to a rope, the same one that flew from his backpack and saved him. And as he checks his bag, he discovers Kage inside, waiting for the right moment to rescue him, which brings Bojji to tears. Kage reveals he had been protecting him from the palace, all to Domus's betrayal, and together. Meanwhile, Domus recalls King Dida's order to look after Bojji and reassures himself he's done no wrong, just as Kage offers Bojji a cloth crown, only for the wind to snatch it away and drop it onto a skull. Startling the group, spotting more human bones and a creeping green mist, they flee, but collapse as the mist overtakes them, leaving them vulnerable as a mysterious figure draws near. While King Dida remains guided by magic, Mirror reaches the palace's deepest chamber where King Basa's remains lie, only to be greeted by two guards who assist with the ritual. Inside the hall, beasts and creatures frozen in ice fill the space, while King Basa's body rests on a fragile yet high-tech pedestal, which the guards then crank to process through a blender-like device, horrifying King Dida as King Basa's The Guardians then bring the iron sphere into a strange window-filled room, suspended on a chain so sunlight strikes it directly, and watch it glow white-hot like the sun before they shatter it to retrieve an egg that hatches instantly into a massive phoenix, which one guard locks in a vault, leaving only its head exposed, allowing the other to sever it before they ignite the phoenix's body inside, completing the potion with its blood. The phoenix is blended with the resurrection gem they gain from burning, yet King Dida, who has witnessed so much he can no longer trust at all, still rejects the potion. and though the magic mirror repeatedly tries to persuade him, he refuses each time, leaving the guardians helpless. Left with no option but to coerce him, Dida overpowers them effortlessly, capturing Bojji and Kage before taking them to a bizarre palace where a peculiar king greets them. Meanwhile, Hokuro grasps Domus's betrayal, draws his sword to retaliate for Bojji but is swiftly outmatched. Domus, unwilling to harm him, merely knocks him unconscious before severing the hand he used to betray Bojji, while the king questions Bojji about rumors calling him a weakling who lost his throne to his younger brother, provoking Kage to clarify that strengthened Bojji only for the eccentric ruler to reveal himself as Daisha, the underworld's king and second-ranked among all kings, then demand Bojji prove his potential by battling the underworld's commander, a prospect that alarms Kage as this elite warrior is the most feared and formidable in the world. Yet Bojji attacks, shattering the illusion of him being the mighty king. He persuades them that Bojji dodges better than anyone, so the knight attacks non-stop but is stunned to find Bojji impossible to hit. Yet, Desha still refuses to train him, arguing that despite his dodging skill, Bojji lacks strength. Kage then hands over the recommendation letter from Bojji's bag, but when Desha reads it, he flies into a rage and orders his guards to eject both Bojji and Kage, after which the order's commander reveals outside that the letter was meant not for Desha, but for Despa, the king's brother, whom the commander is greeted cheerfully by the friends as they leave, since he wants Prince Bojji to grow stronger, while King Dida argues with the magic mirror, who warns him he cannot escape the fate she has already set for him, just as Apius bursts in and charges at Dida, only for the mirror to stop him in time, leaving Apius stunned by the voice. A flashback then shows a younger Apius walking with King Bojji to meet the mysterious mage Lady Miranjo, who had promised to make Apius stronger before returning to the present, where she orders Apius to humble himself and beg Dida for forgiveness. Though Dida hesitates and attacks instead, only relenting when Miranjo intervenes, though Apius suddenly knocks Dida unconscious. Miranjo admits to Apius that the battle with Bevan was intentional, since Bevan would do anything for Dida, and that the guards forced Dida to drink the elixir, then reveals the elixir was not what she had claimed. After the ritual finishes, she chants the incantation to make Dida a vessel, while Bojji and Kage reach Despa's home, hand him the torn letter, and explain the events, prompting Despa to tell them Desha is driven by envy. Despa, always deeply self-conscious about his looks, admits he once turned a very weak man into a king by following his own advice. So, Kage hands over all his money for Bojji's training. When they enter the mansion, Despa leads them to a sitting area, performs a spiritual reading of Bojji, and delivers a grim verdict. The prince lacks physical strength and will never match King Boss. Despa stops Bojji from leaving, assuring him he doesn't have to be like Basa, but can use his own strengths to become even greater, moving both the young prince and his best friend to tears. The next morning, Bojji wakes before Kage, cleanses the whole mansion to ease his friend's load, and tries hard to make breakfast, but when Kage and Despa wake to the terrible smell and politely after taking some unknown substance, Despa tells Kage he finds it strange that Bojji, though the son of giants, lacks any unusual strength or traits, then leads Bojji to a vast sword-filled room to start training, where Despa has already picked the best weapon for him, but insists the young prince identify it himself. After searching briefly, Bojji chooses the right one. In one grueling training session after another, leaving Kage drained, he suddenly hears a deafening roar and rushes to find Bojji smashing an enormous rock. Meanwhile, King Bosa returns to his throne in Data's guise, and a flashback reveals he once followed Miranjo to strike a deal with the same demon from earlier chapters, who offers to siphon strength from Bosa's future children to empower him. A condition Bosa accepts without pause before seeking out a mighty giantess warrior, battling to earn her affection until she agrees to bear his heir and later welcome. Both parents adore, prompting Bosa to establish his kingdom solely to shield, and the king remains deep in thought as Hyling learns of the event, for they had to kill Hyling to keep their vow, while a flashback shows Domus had once revealed everything to Bojji, only for Hokuro to plot his murder anyway, causing their split, and days later, an enraged Queen Hyling executes Hokuro over what happened to Bojji, until Domus storms in and battles the dozens guarding her. Just as the guards move to rescue Hokuro and nearly succeed, King Bosa suddenly appears, radiating sin, and stuns everyone with a single glance, leaving them all speechless. Doma, sensing this isn't Dida but the aura of King Bosa, challenges him yet stands no chance in the fight. And though Hyling spots Doma's attempt to save Hokuro and orders his immediate execution, Bosa interrupts by declaring, "Bojji is alive," shocking everyone, before revealing Miranjo had told him this earlier and explaining that Bojji is currently training. Before being executed himself, King Bosa exiles Domus and Hokuro instead of killing them, then admits he has taken over King Dida's body. As they leave, Hokuro asks Domus for training to grow stronger, and Domus reveals Bosa had ordered him to depart, while King Bosa reveals his true self to Squire Dorsha deep inside the palace, where the underworld portal is being destroyed. His wife Hyling faints, leaving Miranjo and Apaias puzzled about the king's intentions, and Dorsha is left to guard the queen until she recovers from the looming threat. A flashback then shows how Dorsha, once the king's squire and an army general, was reassigned as the queen's bodyguard. Though his only priority then was bonding with Bojji, so he took work lightly, and both even learned sign language to slowly rebuild the prince's trust and communicate better. Now, in the present, Dorja faces the terrifying beasts breaking into the queen's room, but realizing he can't endure their attacks without fighting back, strips off his heavy armor to overpower them. Though a flashback shows Bosa had warned him these creatures would strike at night. Yet Dorja hesitated, unsure if he should defend the queen since the king seemed to permit the next morning, he wakes in the queen's chamber and finds that she, alongside her maid Hyling, has been tending to him. Hyling then reveals her intent to confront Bosa, but though Dorsey urges her to first grasp the full situation, she rushes to the throne, demands Bosa return, Dida unharmed, and gets no reply, while in another realm, Dida hears her mother's voice and cries out. Hyling traces the sound frantically until she realizes Dida's consciousness is trapped inside her body under. Dorsey stops Dida from leaving, warning her that killing Dida's body will destroy her soul, then knocks her unconscious, and Bosa informs her they'll launch a deadlier follow-up attack, so she begs him to hide her in another country until the conflict ends, and days later, Kage, Despa, just as a group of bullies shows up to taunt Despa and pick a fight with him, Bojji steps in to celebrate finishing his training, but takes a brutal punch that leaves Kage worried, though Bojji feels nothing. He then lands a light tap on one bully's face, stunning him, before quickly disabling the other two, with Despa telling Kage that Bojji uses his extreme agility to strike pressure points with his opponent's own force, even disarming and knocking out one bully who'd grabbed an axe and threatened the group, severing his blood flow with a needle-like sword thrust that harms no tissue. Bojji, unstoppable against foes. Despa instructs his wards to leave first while he stays behind, telling them to either spare the bullies or kill them cleanly as they exit the bar. then reveals to the bullies that their attack was just a test of Bojji's skills, though he admits even that impressive display was only a glimpse of Bojji's true strength. Leaving Dida overwhelmed with regret and trapped, a group of ghosts appears to the girl, mocking both her and Dida, who defends her, until she notices the ghost has no hands or face, just a mask, and realizes they were the ones who did this to her. Grateful, she stays with Dida, who vows to help her escape. While elsewhere, King Desha learns that Yukon, an extremely powerful prisoner, has broken out of his cell with 5 other criminals, threatening the Boss Kingdom. So he mobilizes his entire army to recapture them and plots a coup in the Bosa Kingdom. Hunt the fugitives, and a flashback shows Miranjo orchestrated everything, freeing the criminals, guiding them into the kingdom, and leading them straight to the boss's throne. King Bo, one of the criminals, tries to seize the throne, but Uken quickly and brutally defeats him before another criminal hurls him out of the castle. Meanwhile, Ailing and Dorsha arrive with a small army to fight the criminals and discover that Miranjo, now trapped inside the mirror, is behind everything, so Dorsha confronts her, only for Miranjo to admit she wants to destroy the kingdom, forcing the army to brace for the worst. And after battling beasts, the remaining criminals join the fight, overwhelming Hailing's forces until the queen nearly collapses from overexerting her healing powers, while Uken spreads chaos across the kingdom until King Desha's soldiers arrive to confront him. But when Dorsha is severely wounded, Ailing cries for help, which King Bosa hears and effortlessly breaks free from his chains and cell, yet hesitates to join the fight after recalling Murano. Just as Dorsha is about to fall, one of the criminals brutally beats the snake nearly to death. But Bojji arrives in time and knocks the attacker out with a single strike, so Kage gives healing elixirs to heal it. He, the snake, Keegan, and the beasts then pledge loyalty to Bojji, while Domus and Hokuro prepare to destroy the underworld gate, only for it to suddenly open as King Desha's massive army marches toward the palace, prompting Domus to fight them alone with stunning skill until Desha appears and effortlessly defeats him. But just as Bojji and Kage arrive, the sight of Domus Kage to help steady him before Desha reveals his next move. Miranjo, after learning he's in the kingdom to kill and freed the underworld's prisoners, recalls how that woman brutally murdered his mother as she sacrificed herself to save him, while Desha telepathically asks Despa about Bojji, only to be told he can't defeat either Bojji or Basa, so he should leave the underworld and let Bojji face Basa instead. Since Desha now wants to defeat Basa solely to reach the demon Bosa made a pact with, Kage chasing after him, as Domus and Hokuro vow to earn his trust. As ruler of the underworld, he had uncovered the secret to immortality and ruled as a tyrant, marrying a human and fathering 3 children, Desha, Despa, and Uken, who were destined to overthrow him and end his cruel reign. Uken awakened his own immortality at 25, but despite struggling to stay sane, he lost his mind, forcing his brothers to imprison him in the underworld until Miranjo freed him to execute his plan, while Domus and Hokuro later burned the underworld's. Bosa watches as opponent Bojji struggles in vain against the immortal Kage, knowing no attack will ever knock him out. So he warns Bojji to flee, while later, when Beben asks why he lets Miranjo ravage the kingdom, Bosa flashes back to his youth. Unaware Dida was secretly witnessing, he once visited a rebellious village of elite magicians who defied the gods, where he battled one of their mightiest mages. Miranjo's father had fought Bosa in a deadly battle that left Bosa badly injured, but Miranjo's mother kindly healed him to save his life, so Bosa later took it upon himself to care for Miranjo. And sometime afterward, the gods drove the kingdom's people from their land. forcing them to ally with a neighboring. The brazen villagers, known for repeatedly deceiving and exploiting the Wizard Kingdom's people, even after draining its wealth despite the realm's prosperity, storm Marano's home, kill her to steal from her, and capture Miranjo, while Bojji fiercely battles the immortal Yukon but grows exhausted. When Dispa and one of Daisha's soldiers join the fight, they're easily overpowered, leaving Dispa severely injured and unconscious, which enrages Bojji. Fury strikes back despite his wounds, knocking Bojji unconscious in the cage. But when Kage desperately tries to save his friend by devouring Yukon, she breaks free from his body, costing her own life. Meanwhile, in Miranjo's past, Bosa found her badly injured, flew into a rage, slaughtered the villagers in revenge. Then, Bevin hears him vow to protect her no matter what, but replies that he must leave to aid King Bojji's mission until Lucan knocks everyone unconscious, though Miranjo briefly steps in to teleport them to the liminal dimension between life and death, where Kage starts slipping away, but hearing Bojji's cries, fights to hold on, supported by Marano, who connects with him despite their opposing sides, Domus Apeus Babin. Dorsha arrives just in time to battle Ukin, but though they briefly restrain him, he soon overpowers them in the realm between life and death, where Miranjo reunites with her mother and Shaina, Boss's first wife, who both urge her to stop causing chaos for her selfish wish to live with Basa, revealing she had been fatally wounded when she killed Sheena and struck a demonic deal to trap her spirit in the magic mirror. Meanwhile, Dida, Dispa, and Bojji witness this and sympathize with Miranjo's tragic past, while in the powers to heal the injured, then repeatedly dismantles Yukon before sealing him in a massive rock to halt his regeneration, after which he and Bojji prepare to face each other. But first, Bossi speaks with Miranjo, who apologizes for manipulating Bojji and Dida to keep Bosa with her even after his death, and Bosa, admitting he never enforced limits, bids her farewell before the fight. The long-awaited clash between father and son erupts, and though Bojji faces Boss's towering frame with his own small yet immense strength, he overpowers his father after a fierce battle and walks away, stunning everyone, just as the king steps forward to shatter the mirror and free Miranda. It is Bojji who delivers the final blow. While Boss's spirit ascends as if to heaven, Miranda's does not. After striking a deal with a demon to spare his boss's soul, only to be banished to a horrifying afterlife dimension, Bossa shows Dida a flashback where he admits to Murano his dream of becoming Earth's strongest, seeking powerful foes to test himself. But after Chabi Sheen, a god, easily crushed him, Murano pushed him to pact with that same demon, explaining why Bojji was born powerless, defeated and hollow. Bosa then devoted himself to guarding Miranjo's family, and as Dida regains his body, Bosa urges him to save her, while the Spa's men behead, merely used to strip Ukan's immortality, but ultimately left to Dida, who revives Miranjo, proposes to her in front of a stunned crowd, and apologizes for past events, thanking Despa for training. Bojji, Dispa, telepathically remorseful for surrendering the wish, is forgiven by Dida in exchange for vast riches and the top rank in the healing hierarchy, just as healing arrives to embrace his children. He nearly has a heart attack upon discovering Dida plans to marry the woman who started the chaos. So Dida publicly gives up the throne, declares Bojji the rightful ruler, and days later, Bojji is crowned, parading before his kingdom and fulfilling royal duties, only to realize this wasn't his plan. So he abdicates, returns the throne to Dida, and leaves with Kage to build a new kingdom from nothing, just as Bosa once did. While in Season 2, Kage and Bojji are preparing when a scream from Despa's room reveals he's developed an age spot on his face. Kage tries to stop him from training further and urges Despot to rethink his offer to buy him produce. But Despot, panics, hides under his blanket, then realizes a shutter cap could solve his problem. So in desperation, he orders Kage to find one and gives him a gold coin. Kage's search leads him on a fruitless hunt until he learns the Akana forest may have some, though it's rumored to hold a terrifying monster. But he enters anyway, rescues an old woman with a broken ankle from the creature. After the old woman gave him a pie to apologize for failing to find a shuttercap mushroom, he returned to Despa's house, where Despa exposed the elderly lady as the sinister monster who had been harvesting shuttercaps from the forest creatures' backs and then selling them to buyers. Despa lets Kage keep the gold coin he gave him after Kage secures a pie-shaped cap mushroom, which everyone then enjoys, before assigning Bojji to earn money, claiming it will teach him about society, though his real motive is greed. When they travel to town for a job, Bojji first tries florist work but fails. The owner instructs them to try gathering firewood with Bojji and Kage in the desert, where Kage, disguised as a cactus, surprises Bojji. After collecting the wood and returning to camp, they learn from the captain that the two soldiers spotted earlier were hunting wild animals, and though Bojji agrees, Kage insists he could handle a wild animal himself before later waking Bojji upon spotting a suspicious shadow. The group spots a large wild animal, but when they investigate, it's gone, though in the distance they see three unfamiliar figures who don't seem to belong to the underworld's order, only to lose sight of them as a gust of wind extinguishes their torch, plunging them into darkness. After confirming the captain's sleepwalking was the cause, Bojji and Kage, along with the Order of the Underworld, resumed their quest to conquer a kingdom, but while pursuing the robbers, a massive sandstorm trapped them all, and once it cleared, they discovered a small oasis where they stopped to rest. Meanwhile, Hyling shouts for her son Dida in the darkness, hears his distant reply, yet Hyling cannot reach him because an invisible barrier blocks her. Dorja Hyling's doing. Night wakes under a tree in a grassy field, checks on Dorsey, and learns from him, despite her insistence on returning to her kingdom no matter the risk, that she cannot go back because of the warning the boss of Kingdom's castle, now possessing Dida's body, gave. Dorsey then suggests finding allies, he leading them to Anne, a woman Hyling once knew in a village plagued by bandits. Dida struggles with the bandit issue and fails to chase his brother Bojji when he sees him leaving on an adventure. But after they spend a happy day playing together until rain starts, he finally catches up, only for Bojji to ask if Dida is afraid as they head home, still traumatized. When Dida pushes him, Bojji accidentally falls off a cliff, hurting his left knee, and Dida nearly injures himself, climbing down to help, then heals Bojji's wound after several tries before collapsing from exhaustion, waking later in his room with Bojji and Hyling beside him, shocked to find Bojji his own injury. Father Satan once studied the subject, which led to Yukine being cursed with immortality, and he had previously rejoiced at the birth of his third child, whom he later named Yukine, while his other two children, Despa and Desha, watched from afar before later giving birth to the child. In the future, Yukine fights Desha, who effortlessly overpowers him with magic. Despa comforted Yukine by pointing out that unlike his older brothers, Yukine lacked power, though Satan killed a few people over time, noting it was nearly enough as the two, dressed in robes, watched a wagon hauling caged criminals into the castle, where their fates would be decided by their father. Yukine arrived with Despa, who tried to stop the prisoners from being unjustly executed by their uncle, who scolded him for recklessness but shared his fury over their father's actions and vowed to one day reform the nation. Yet later, their father Saturn became war targets, where Yukine and friend barely held their ground despite the enemy's advantage, while part of Desha's forces captured a young Gigante to lure others into a trap. Afterward, Friend entered Desha's throne room, offering to help find the demon to cure Uken's immortality sickness. But Desha refused since Friend was legally banned from leaving the underworld. And later, Friend drank at a bar with 3 off-duty soldiers he had supplied. The next day, over drinks, they learn that Friend has escaped the underworld and will be executed upon return under its laws. Later, the 3 soldiers Friend had helped visit Despa to check on Uken's state and Friend's situation. And though Despa agrees to aid them, he insists they never reveal his involvement. Then resumes his own travels. A longtime demon ally later finds Despa and reveals that his only lead on a demon's location is a woman cursed in the Bosa kingdom. When Despa shares this discovery, Desha banishes the ally, insisting he do anything to save Uka, a choice Despa praises. Meanwhile, Hokuro, who lost his mother as a child, had joined Bosa's army after Prince Bojji showed him kindness, and while on duty under his commander's lead, he asks where the prince is. Despite his deafness keeping him isolated, Bojji often seems captivated by a praying mantis or standing guard at an entrance. Yet when a volunteer soldier is needed after a mock battle, Hakuro quickly steps forward, only for one of the Big Four, Domas, to dismiss him, and, undeterred, Hakuro uses sign language to convince Domas and Queen Hilling, who then permits him to join Bojji's journey, where Bojji, now king of the Bosa kingdom, works tirelessly and later agrees to Bebin's proposal to take part in his scheme. While inspecting the town one day, you encounter 3 children with their grandfather, a boy his age crying over goats, and 2 young girls who've lost their beloved bird, Pippi, after eating some bread and luring a small blue bird with a metal leg collar, disrupting Bojji and his friends' whistling attempts to call Pippi by tossing a pebble. Bevan scares it off, then orders one of his snakes to find the cage, as Bojji's group heads back to the castle, where Dida and Miranjo share a heart-to-heart before Dida invites the Big Four to the throne room. While on his way, Bevan spots Miranjo fleeing the library with a book and sends a snake to investigate, leading the Big Four to agree to train Dida for the highest possible ranking. After inspecting the town, he sees a blind, deaf, and mute person trip over Data, heals the worker's injured arm with magic, and discovers Miranjo teaching local children to read, write, and use sign language. Data then proposes building a school on the old barracks site, and Miranjo, before joining the Big Four and Bosa Kingdom, thanks him, while Mitsumara, captain of the Underworld Knights, orders former elite soldier and current spymaster Bevan to train under Prince Despa in the Underworld and agrees to escort him there. Bevan, after finishing his training with Despa, is stopped by 2 Underworld Knights from taking full responsibility for his actions, later challenges and defeats Apes upon returning, and in the present, as the boss of Kingdom Bevan and Trust Kage, delivers a recommendation letter to Bojji. Meanwhile, at the Big Four's banquet, King Dida assigns them castle renovations, but Bevan insists on handling it alone. Domus claims sole capability, and Dorsha and Apeus each declare they can manage independently, while Hokuro skips their restaurant outing. Group of children returning home, watching a bullfight with his mother, buying items from a vendor, building a sandcastle while waiting, and chasing a butterfly before Knight Kyo, the Bow Kingdom's greatest, rides through town on horseback, and Kage helps one of the kids escape the rampaging bull. Just as Kage demands his name, Kyo intervenes at the last moment to save him, though Rio refuses to answer but still commends Kage's bravery. Then Kage's mother joins them, hearing her son declare his dream of becoming a knight, while a short flashback reveals Bosa striking a demonic bargain for absolute power before meeting Sheena, who first appears stopping a bread thief right as the kingdom falls under siege. Sheena speaks outside with the former bread thief, now working as a castle maid, and is soon joined by Bosa, who admits he rejected the ranking representative's offer because he already has everything he wants and will do anything to provide Bojji with all he'll ever need, while Miranda, Once a child from the Huma kingdom, when she first dated Bosa, chases a fleeing young boy in the forest after catching him eating from a large carcass, unaware that a wild bear is creeping up behind her. The boy watches a flower's bloom in silence without speaking to Warren Moranjo, even as she uses her magic to control it. And when she later finds him again, she chases him once more before deciding to return home, only to lose him again and become lost herself in the forest, where the boy eventually finds her, but hesitates to help due to his species' troubled history with humans and his own past. After overcoming his doubt, he guides Moranjo out of the woods, then leaves his realm to visit friends, giving Baben a doll as an apology. Cicada husk, Hakuro, a blue healing feather, Dorsey a fang, Dida an acorn, and Moranjo a glass orb before reuniting with Kage, where his family and subjects greet him as he prepares to depart. Riding with Kage in a wagon along an open road when they pass someone eerily familiar, while elsewhere, Disha follows a ranking official into the legendary Divine Treasure Vault, as the two advanced unaware that shadowy figures were observing them. Spears still lodged in its body, Dispa and the captain of the Order of the Underworld carried Yukin's decapitated remains to the lake, where Disha struck a bargain with the demon girl to lift Yukin's immortality curse. Once revived, Yukin declared he had returned to normal, only for Dispa to scold him for poor swordsmanship and flawed techniques, though Yukin wept with joy at the criticism, before a rider delivered news that King Disha had vanished after entering the Divine Treasure Vault, while elsewhere, Bojji and Kage reached the Kuya Kingdom, where Kage immediately warned Bojji not to flaunt his gold coins, prompting Bojji to reflect on Domus's past advice before